Hellbenders do have 4 legs, so we probably want to make sure we put that in too. Good morning. It is Monday morning, the 12th of October. It's Hellbender Day. To do a couple adjustments, I see the end of my Hellbender sort of got off screen here. But here we go. Monday morning with Matt. I need to say hello to you. Hi. So it's October 12th. We are, believe it or not, just about 3 weeks away from the election. 3 weeks from tomorrow is Election Day, November 3rd. We've been doing this for a long time. You've been joining me on Monday mornings. Since early in the spring, we've been doing this with a brief hiatus over the summer. So just a reminder as well, since Election Day is coming up, sorry, adjusting some of my cabling here, the state-of-the-art studio at Chez Ferrance. Votespa.com. If you haven't registered to vote or you know somebody who hasn't registered to vote, you still have a week for registration, and you can also still apply for mail-in ballots. They can be requested until the 27th of October, and then get them back to voter services either through the mail or you can drop them off in person. If you're in Erie County, there's a drop box as well. So today I want to talk about Hellbenders a little bit. Get this screen back up to the full side. So the Hellbender, if you don't know, is a salamander, and it's a giant salamander. I want to make him green, but he's not green. So he's actually kind of a lovely muddy brown. And the giant Hellbender, by giant, I mean giant, up to 2 feet long. And it's a salamander, so it's an amphibian. And our own French Creek that runs through all of Crawford County pretty much and is one of the most biodiverse waterways in Pennsylvania, really an important waterway for those of us who care about water conservation and water quality. The Hellbender lives in there, and it's a great place to find them. But even more importantly than that, that as of 2019, thanks to, well, that pen doesn't work. Oh, we'll just move to the pencil. They're more reliable. 2019, Act 3 of the Pennsylvania legislature designated the Hellbender as the official state amphibian for Pennsylvania, which is fantastic. This was actually a bill that was originally started. It took about 2 years to get this passed, which is interesting. That sometimes there are surprising obstacles, but it was introduced by Gene Yaw, who is a Republican senator, and the children, the school children who were part of pushing this forward, were emphasizing that this is an important recognition for clean water, because the Hellbender is something that we call an indicator species. That they aren't going to fare well in places where the water quality isn't strong. So recognizing it as our state amphibian is also recognizing it as a symbol of us caring about water quality across the Commonwealth. And this was a bipartisan, overwhelmingly supported bill, though there were six representatives who voted no on it out of 203. And you're never going to guess who one of them was. That included Brad Roy, who voted no on recognizing the Hellbender as the official state amphibian. And that's how I want to open up tonight, or today. Some of you might be watching tonight. Those of you who are watching this morning, it's morning. But some will be watching in the evening, so today and tonight. Brad Roy was one of 6 all right-wing Republican representatives who voted no on recognizing the Hellbender as the official state amphibian. And the stated reason was, oh, we shouldn't be wasting our time on something like this when there are other issues to be dealt with. I reject that argument, first of all, because I think this was actually an important bill. Again, thinking about that important indicator species aspect of recognizing the Hellbender, but also because there's lots of very minor bills that are voted on in the House of Representatives. It's an important part of their work in recognizing aspects of the state, including even naming bridges, is something that they do to honor individuals. And then around here, the other thing is that the Hellbender is distinctive to here. And that's one of the aspects of it that boggles my mind most of all, why a Northwestern Pennsylvania legislator who represents French Creek, one of the prime grounds for the Hellbender, would vote no on something that the Hellbender is part and parcel of who we are. And this is a consistent issue with the representation that we've had in the House of Representatives since 2006. And so this morning, I just want to kind of walk back through time a little bit and talk about several of the bills where I think that the representation we've had has voted contrary to the best interests of our region, and maybe is doing so just to maintain a certain ideological preference. And you have seen this perhaps in the ads of no taxes, and then anti-abortion, and 100% support of gun laws, whatever that means. And I think that protecting the Second Amendment and 100% support of extreme gun no laws are two different things. So first of all, I'll go back again in 2019. HB 33 was a vote that was, and this was a yes vote from our incumbent, yes on repealing general assistance. There was a general assistance program. Well, there still is. It was vetoed. A general assistance program. And what this means is that they were direct payments for adults with extreme need, defined as with disabilities or drug dependency or persons fleeing domestic abuse. This was a yes vote to repeal that general assistance program that was, in fact, one of the most successful anti-poverty bills that we had in the Commonwealth. And again, I shouldn't say past tense. The governor vetoed this bill, so it did not get repealed. And so, I always remind us that here in Meadville, 24% of our residents live in poverty. So someone voting to repeal general assistance is voting against the interests of at least 1 in 4 people in this city, and across the county, 13% or so, similar in Erie County. So that's not a bill that you really want somebody to be voting against. And in fact, he was a co-sponsor in 2011 of HB 1261, which was another act to repeal it. And so this was a long battle in the legislature to as the incumbent said on his Facebook page, throw people off of welfare. In 2018, and this is one that I think is really important to think about, he voted no on HB 2060. This was a no vote. And this was a no vote that would have required individuals with protection from abuse orders. So these would be judge-ordered protection from abuse orders. So a judge has determined that a person is a clear and present threat to another. This bill, HB 2060, required that individuals who have protection from abuse orders filed against them must surrender their firearms. And the reason for this is pretty clear, that if you have a protection from abuse order filed against you, you are much more likely, and in fact are a likelihood, to inflict violence upon another. And one of the places where we see gun violence most of all is in partner violence. And so to surrender your firearms to local law enforcement for the duration of that protection from abuse order until it is all sorted out is a common sense and reasonable way to prevent gun violence from happening. Now, this bill passed overwhelmingly, but Brad Roy was one of the no votes, perhaps protecting his 100% gun voting record in the House. Excuse me. And I think that that's not good for us. In 2018, he was a co-sponsor for a bill, HB 2154, that amended the Oil and Gas Drilling Act. And what it would do is exempt conventional drillers, and so that would be what they call shallow or traditional gas wells and oil wells. It would exempt conventional drillers from the Clean Water Act. It's the Safe Water Act, different act. The Safe Water Act. It would also allow spills of up to 5 barrels, which is a ton, 5 barrels of oil, of crude, and 15 barrels of brine water, which, just sounds like salty water, but that brine water can have all kinds of contaminants. And even if it's just highly concentrated salt water, that going into our waterways is not good for our hellbender or for our drinking water. And so under this bill, 2154, these spills of up to 5 barrels of crude or 15 barrels of brine could happen without any reporting. You don't even have to report it to the state. It also would have repealed a requirement to have the DEP review the impact on public resources like parks and historical sites for drilling. And it also authorized the spraying of this brine water on our dirt roads. And we have a lot of dirt roads in our neck of the woods for dust control, which in effect creates a network of toxic waste dumps across Pennsylvania. Now, this bill ultimately didn't make it forward, and it was bandied about again and again and again, and was finally passed, I would say, unfortunately, with some reductions in these numbers. But again, the idea, this is not good for us. We live in an area where there is a lot more of this kind of activity. And so to exempt drillers from the Safe Water Act and allowing these sorts of spills is to say that you favor the drillers over the drinking water of your neighbors. So if we go back a little bit farther into 2014, in 2014, he voted against Medicaid expansion, a no against Medicaid expansion. And Medicaid, of course, is something that helps, again, so many people in our area who experience poverty. So this was a no vote against Medicaid expansion. And in fact, we need to also put 2018 up here, that there also was a yes vote to make it much harder to get medical assistance in Medicaid. For example, you would be required to apply. I'm sorry, this is a different bill. There's a bill that he voted on elsewhere. This was in 2000. I'm sorry, I don't see it on my notes, but what it would do is require somebody to get medical assistance to apply for 3 jobs a week so that they could keep their medical assistance when they're out of work. And I understand where that comes from, the idea you don't want people just choosing not to work, but it's really a bad faith effort to punish people who can't find work, particularly in areas where it is a little bit difficult, to say the least. In 2009, there was a no vote on HB1 that would have expanded the availability, you'll never guess, of government subsidized health insurance, again, to help low-income individuals. So there's a theme here. And then all the way back in 2008, early in the tenure in the House of Representatives, there was a no vote for a clean energy program, which, boy, imagine 12 years later where we could be, that would have invested $850 million in the development of alternative renewable energy sources like solar and wind, also to work more on incentives for energy efficient appliances. And I mentioned this one. I mean, this is 12 years ago, a no vote here. And now they're having hearings about, and these are important and great for community solar to permit that in the Commonwealth that is really beneficial to our energy portfolio, but also extremely beneficial, and Brad will say this and agree with this, to the farmers in our area who can develop community solar programs, in some cases on the same land that they're still tilling for certain crops, or to use land that isn't being used for agriculture to help keep some money in the pocket of agriculture. My point there would be 12 years ago, that was also true, but there was a no vote. So, overall, my point here this morning is that when we see something like this no vote on the Hellbender, it seems symbolic and foolish, but there's a long history of our representation making votes on bills that would help us quite a lot and voting against the interests of the people here. I'm not exactly sure. One can never know the mind of another human being, so I don't know the reason behind that. But again, it seems in some cases those votes have more to do with protecting a certain image of what you stand for as a representative, instead of thinking about what your neighbors need here at home and what the Commonwealth needs to develop into the future. So we've got 3 weeks to mull that over in other aspects that affect us here in Pennsylvania. The election is certainly heating up. You're probably hearing more and more about every election. Could we hear more about the presidential election? I'm not sure. That seems like every waking hour in many cases. Such an important election this year. I hope that you'll continue to spread the word about my candidacy. I hope that I have already had your vote if you're mail-in voting, or that I'll have your vote on November 3rd. I'll look forward to talking to you next week. And we'll be having a town hall. If you had it on your calendar for tomorrow, we actually have had to postpone it. So we'll be looking for another town hall in the next week or two. Debate is scheduled for October 27th, right before the election, just a few days before the election, sponsored by the Meadville Tribune. And I'm always happy to connect with you on Facebook or in other ways. If you want to shoot me an email at matt@electference.com. I'm just going to throw this out here. These beautiful new long sleeve comfy t-shirts have come out. If you're so inclined to help us generate a couple more dollars, you can still see like one eye here when I'm behind this. Generate a little bit more for us to put out ads and things here in the last couple of weeks. That would be great. At Matt Swag, you can find that and other things that are available, like some cool holographic stickers, things like that. Anyway, thanks for coming in to chat with me this Monday morning, or thanks for checking in on Facebook or YouTube to watch it after the fact. We'll see you around the district and talk to you later. Bye.